G'day guys, welcome back. So it's been a few weeks since I posted a video. We've had a fair bit on. So in this video we'll mount up the wastegate and weld that up, get a few things in the engine bay painted up nice, do a diff, get all that painted up, mounted up and set up some suspension. So we'll kick it off with a wastegate. Okay, so with the big 42 mounted up, there's not a great deal of room to run these water lines. So what I've done is run banjos off the side of the turbo and I run the water lines straight down. But they come fairly close to the manifold, so we've run these heat socks on everything. That should hopefully keep us out of trouble. And since we were getting the manifold off to run that water line, we replaced the starter, since if you remember in the previous video it was grinding when we were firing it up. Okay, so we're going to put this diff together. I've kind of cheated in that I got the guy, a local diff guy, to set up the center. So I actually had a few clearance issues. It's kind of difficult to see in there, but the pinion's all been machined. You can clearly see the bolts have been modified, but we had quite a few clearance issues with the track lock center contacting the pinion. So old mate down the road, he's done quite a few of these before, so he sort of knew what he was looking at. It's a bit of a trap for anyone that hasn't done one before, because I didn't see anything about clearance issues and no one mentioned anything about it, so bit of a trap for you. But yeah, just be wary of it. Next up, we've got a set of these billet axles to go in. Now these are 28 spline billet axles. They've got the 2.5 inch long, 1/2 inch forward studs in them, and a alloy diff cover. I don't know if it actually does anything, but it looks pretty cool. So we're going to slap all that together and we'll get it in the wagon, because I really need it off the hoist to move on to other jobs. So let's get going. Okay, so we got the diff cleaned up for the most part. Needle gun actually helped to clean all the rusty scale off. I just noticed there's quite a few of these casting dags on here. They look pretty agricultural, so I might grab a grinder and I'll cut them off, or at least make them look a bit nicer. All right. Okay, so a couple of minutes for the flappy disc and we're all good. No more dags. Honestly, no one's ever going to know, but you know, I knew, you guys knew, so now we both know that it's all fixed. So let's get some paint on this thing. Okay, so got our diff all painted up, ready to go in the car. Car's up on the hoist. And we need some arms. So we've got these Pro 9 lower control arms, adjustable. These are leftovers out of the VC from when it had a standard suspension rear setup in it. We've got some white line adjustables for the top. These here are really overkill for the setup, but the old ones, the bushes are flogged, so I had these sitting here, so I may as well use them. This is instead, you use these instead of using the standard ones when you modify them to fit the bigger tyres, and they're adjustable. So they're about 600 bucks or so from Pro 9. Only downside is that the spring seat is on top, so you've got to shorten your spring up. Yes, that's correct. You've got to chop your springs about 2 inches to accommodate that. So we'll get all this mounted to the diff and then up in the car. Let's keep going. Okay, so we've got the rear end for the most part up in there. Got a couple of little clearance issues with the diff hat. I was warned about that, but that's okay. What we'll do is we'll machine up a spacer to go up in here and move the panhard rod back slightly. When you release the bolt on the panhard rod on the diff, the panhard rod wants to kick back a little anyway, so we've got a little bit of room in there. Can't go too far obviously, but 5mm should be enough to clear it. Got our white line tops in. They're set at factory specs, so measured up against the standard items. The bolts are still loose, but the guy doing the wheel alignment can set all that up. Same with the lowers. Everything needs adjustment before it's driven, which is all good. Next issue we're going to have is the brakes. So we've got a standard replacement brake for a VL. The wheel stud for them is a 12mm, and we've got 1/2-inch wheel studs in the rear, so they need drilling out. And then we'll bolt the rest of the brakes on. So we'll probably end this one here, and we'll do all the brakes and that next time. All right, catch you later.